But we went in on D-Day by 2:30 in the afternoon, and we had to crawl over dead American soldiers. And the water was red with American blood.
And then the next shell that hit us, it hit the conning tower, blasted, went up through the bridge, and wiped out the bridge, killed the helmsman.
You might make a decision, the best you could do, and you'd get people killed. I can live with it today because I always did the best I could.
To preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. I'm not protecting the President of the United States. I'm not protecting the people's freedom, although indirectly I am. What I'm doing is I'm preserving that Constitution. Those words on that paper is what guarantees your liberty.
We're working on this guy that was in a overrun camp. And whenever your camp was overrun, there was only one rule. Hit the deck and don't move, because we shoot everything that moves. So you had to stay down. Well, this one guy came in, and it was obvious that he didn't get to the deck fast enough. And I'm operating on his right shoulder. And all of a sudden, I feel this smooth object. And it was a grenade that didn't go off.
Wait, in his shoulder?
Oh, yeah. They have what they call the M79 grenade launcher. It has to rotate 3 3/4 time with great centrifugal force to arm it. So I figured it must have done that. So I told him, I said, I just need one corpsman anesthesia and the rest of you leave. We're not going to wait, okay, to stop all this surgery, to have all the people who take all these ordinances out of here. So we were able to be very careful, took it out, walked it to a bunker, walked it in the bunker, put it down, and got out of there. The whole time I was thinking, Davey, this is either a real good thing you just did or the dumbest thing you've ever done in the world.
Oh my gosh. So I was an adjutant general corps officer initially as an officer, so, who deal with the admin things, and they also controlled all the computer stuff at the time. That's now different, but at the time I became an AG corps officer to sort of stay plugged into the computer field. But I met some other young officers who were in the military intelligence corps, and so I applied to transfer into that branch, and then that was approved, and so then I became an MI officer, and that's what I was for the rest of my career. So we were scheduled to graduate at some point in the spring of '91, but toward the end of the year, 1990, our instructors said, "Look, if you're interested in volunteering to leave school early and then deploy to Saudi Arabia for Desert Shield, which is going to be a war at some point, put your name on this list." So I volunteered.
So I walk in with the Iraqi major in order to talk to the people who own the house and the property, who we know had worked with this terrorist leader. And no sooner had I taken my helmet off and the Iraqi major starts to talk with the homeowner that explosion goes off and then machine gun fire. And so I grabbed my helmet and ran outside, and we're trying to assess the situation, but in this case it's very thick. And one of the things that was, I always say had there been a recruiter right there, I would have enlisted for the rest of my life. Because as I looked around, and it wasn't because of the danger, I'm not being cavalier, it was more because without any orders or any direction, all of the guys that I had served with, and these aren't just people in my unit, these are really close friends of mine, everyone is just doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And it was that process of kind of bringing order to chaos, and 2 of our Iraqis have been hit with a grenade shrapnel. There was a lot of machine gun fire going off, and so we were trying to get everyone online, pointing in the right direction, and making sure that they weren't shooting unless they knew what they were shooting at. We obviously didn't want anybody to get hurt, one of our guys or a civilian.
So did you have any time to spend just sort of enjoying Rome, or the way it was then?
That's
Not
the
much.
only thing I saw was Rome when we went through on trucks. And when I came back in on the truck, I unloaded it USO and got me a cup of coffee and a couple of donuts and sat down in an easy chair and went to sleep. They woke me up next day to go back to camp. So I didn't get to see much of Rome.
So what happened after Italy? Where did you go after Italy?
We went back to Naples and started amphibious training again, and we went to southern France. We made the invasion of southern France. We went in on an LCI, landing craft infantry, and they had a ladder that went down the side of it to unload. Well, I've been trained with Bangalore torpedoes to blow wire, so when we hit the beach, I was number one off the ship.
Oh my goodness.
Carrying a Bangalore torpedo. Thank God there wasn't any wire there, so we didn't have to blow the wire. We didn't even get our feet wet because the ship ran right up on the beach.
As we were advancing through the village, Barry is right in front of me, and all of a sudden I see him do a complete flip into the air. A complete flip. The shell had hit him, and the impact of the shell, it had gone through his canteen and into his hip, and it just flipped him into the air. And when he came up, he looked at me and he says, "Buddy," which was my nickname. He says, "Buddy, I think I've been shot." I said, "Barry, I think you have been." And reached down and pulled him back to me to get him out of the line of fire that had taken him. So then we kept advancing through the village, and it was clear within a half hour that we had the village cleared. And then what started coming out of the huts that we had just advanced through were elderly men, women, children, by the scores, came out of their huts. And all of a sudden we're surrounded by civilians after we have chased a real live enemy out of this village. So here's the problem. These are their homes that they're coming out of. They felt safe and secure in these thatch huts, straw huts. And they're coming out of their homes and looking at us with terror in their eyes. We're big, we got guns, we got helmets, and they're crying, and all of a sudden the order comes down to us on the right flank to start burning down the huts, start burning down these huts. And I asked for the order to be repeated, because that meant we were going to burn down the huts of homes where these people lived. And these people were not military targets. These people were innocent civilians who happened to be in support of the Viet Cong. But should they also pay for this? As far as we were concerned, and as I look back at it today, this is just one incident in a year and a half of Vietnam, but as I look back upon this today, that incident right there identified for me the conundrum presented to military officials during the war. How do you offensively take out an enemy that's living among the civilian populace? How do you do that?
One day they got us all together out on the ramp there beside the hangar, and said, we're going to go show you guys something new. And this thing came in, and it was a helicopter, and we'd never seen one. And so it was fun to watch it. You know what it did. He came down and spun around and did his thing and landed. I was fascinated with the darn thing.
Well, yeah, well, you're just fascinated with being up in the sky. So.
Well, yeah, that's true. But this thing was really something. We all it was really a strange stuff. We'd never seen a helicopter before.
I know you wrote books, and you continued.
Yes, I did write some books.
And you continued with your artistry. Your paintings are wonderful.
Yes, I did do that. Thank you. I enjoyed doing it.
And you created this private museum, which is a piece of history here.
This has been a major project, and
you've got more things in.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, and I'm a bit of a pack rat. My mother was a pack rat. She loved saving stuff, so and I took that after her on that, and so I've got I got lots of stuff, and it's kind of fun to have this because It's history,